I'll never forget the day Ellie Matthews destroyed my $10,000 suit and somehow landed a promotion in the same breath. James Sullivan, billionaire tech founder, couldn't take his eyes off the woman who just turned his life upside down. The sound of shattering ceramic echoed through the sleek lobby of Quantum Innovations, followed by a horrified gasp that seemed to freeze time itself. Coffee splashed across imported marble tiles in slow motion, creating a caffeinated explosion that found its ultimate target, James Sullivan's immaculate Italian suit. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," Ellie Matthews cried, frantically patting at the spreading stain with napkins that seemed to multiply the damage. Her first day at her dream job, and she'd just baptized the company's notoriously cold-hearted CEO with a venti dark roast. "I can fix this." "Wait, no, that's making it worse. I'll pay for dry cleaning. I mean, not today, because I'm completely broke until payday. But I promise." James Sullivan stood perfectly still, his ice blue eyes narrowing as coffee dripped from his sleeve onto his $800 shoes. The entire lobby had gone silent, employees frozen in place like a corporate version of musical statues. No one breathed, no one dared move. "You," he finally said, voice dangerously soft. "Ellie Matthews, new data analyst, starting today." She swallowed hard. Or at least I was. What happened next would become company legend. 3 months earlier, Ellie had been drowning in rejection emails, 12 job applications, 12 variations of "we've decided to pursue other candidate." Her tiny apartment in downtown Seattle felt smaller with each passing day, the walls closing in as her bank account dwindled. "You've got this," her roommate Zoe insisted, watching Ellie scroll through job listings. "Someone's going to recognize that big brain of yours." Ellie snorted. "My big brain that trips over its own feet?" She'd been labeled the human disaster throughout college, brilliant at algorithms, catastrophic at basic coordination. Then the Quantum Innovations listing appeared. Data analyst needed, fast-paced environment. The company was legendary. Revolutionary AI systems, cutting-edge innovation, and a founder who'd built an empire before turning 30. James Sullivan was Silicon Valley royalty, known equally for his genius and his merciless approach to business. "That's way out of my league," Ellie muttered. Zoe grabbed the laptop. "Applied." "You're welcome." "You what?" Ellie shrieked. 2 weeks later, against all odds, she had the job. Now, standing in Quantum's lobby with coffee dripping between them, Ellie was certain her career was over before it began. The legendary James Sullivan, tall, impossibly handsome, and currently coffee-soaked, was examining her as one might study a particularly puzzling bug. "Follow me," he said, abruptly. Whispers erupted as he led her toward the elevator. Ellie trudged behind, face burning, mentally calculating if she could survive on ramen until finding another job. "Nice knowing you," whispered a receptionist as she passed. The elevator ride was excruciating. 16 floors of silence broken only by the soft dripping of coffee onto the elevator floor. James Sullivan stared straight ahead, his jawline sharp enough to cut glass, while Ellie studied her shoes and contemplated jumping through the emergency hatch. When they reached his office, a minimalist shrine to power with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seattle, he finally spoke. "You're the one who wrote the algorithm in your application." It wasn't a question. Ellie blinked. Yes?" He tossed her resume onto his desk. "That algorithm could revolutionize our current project. Most people with your talent wouldn't be applying for entry-level positions. Most people with my talent don't destroy expensive suits within 5 minutes of entering a building," she countered before she could stop herself. The corner of his mouth twitched, not quite a smile but something. "I have other suits. That algorithm is something special." Ellie's heart pounded. "You actually read my application?" I read everything about this company. He fixed those piercing blue eyes on her. You're not working as a data analyst. You're joining the Phoenix team. Her jaw dropped. Phoenix was Quantum's most secretive project. AI integration that could change everything. But I just started. I just ruined your suit. I don't care about the suit, Miss Matthews. I care about results. He reached for his phone. Victoria, send up a new jacket and get Matthews here a security badge for Phoenix clearance. That's it? Ellie blurted. No probation? No coffee ban? His expression remained unreadable. Don't make me regret this. Phoenix team, 9 a.m. tomorrow. He turned to his computer, dismissing her as she stumbled toward the door. He added, and Miss Matthews, try not to destroy anything else on your first day. The Phoenix team worked on the 20th floor in a glass-walled sanctuary of innovation. When Ellie stepped out of the elevator the next morning, she was greeted by Alexandra Garcia, Phoenix's project manager, a sharp-eyed woman whose reputation for brilliance was matched only by her low tolerance for incompetence. So you're Sullivan's coffee girl, Alexandra said, eyebrow raised. Let's see if there's more to you than clumsy hands and lucky algorithms. I prefer data specialist with occasional gravitational challenges, Ellie replied, forcing a smile. Alexandra didn't laugh. Phoenix is 6 months behind schedule. Sullivan's pouring millions into this project with minimal results. Prove your worth, or you're out. The team was small. 5 brilliant programmers who regarded Ellie with open skepticism. They'd been working around the clock on an AI system designed to predict market fluctuations with unprecedented accuracy, but something wasn't clicking. The problem is that conventional algorithms can't account for human irrationality, explained Marcus, a programmer with perpetually tousled hair. We need something that understands emotional patterns, not just numbers. Ellie bit her lip, studying their code. What if we're approaching this all wrong? What if instead of trying to predict rational behavior in an irrational system, we built irrationality into the model? 5 pairs of eyes stared at her. That's not how financial modeling works, said Darius, the oldest team member. Neither is the stock market, Ellie countered. Let me show you something. For the next 2 hours, she outlined her approach, an algorithm that incorporated psychological patterns, social media sentiment analysis, and what she called chaos variables to predict seemingly unpredictable market shifts. As she spoke, Ellie felt herself transforming from coffee girl to something else. Her hands flew across the keyboard, her mind racing ahead of her words. This was where she belonged, in the beautiful complexity of data patterns. She didn't notice James Sullivan standing in the doorway, watching her with undisguised interest. Days turned into weeks. Phoenix became Ellie's life. Long nights, endless coffee, insecure containers, and the gradual thawing of her teammates as her algorithm began showing promise. Alexandra remained skeptical, but had stopped making coffee jokes, which Ellie counted as progress. James Sullivan appeared without warning, materializing beside their workstations, asking razor-sharp questions, then vanishing back to his executive duties. Each time, Ellie felt her heart rate spike, telling herself it was just professional anxiety, not the way his presence seemed to electrify the air around her. One night, working alone at 2 a.m., she didn't hear him approach. You should be home, Matthew. Ellie jumped, nearly knocking over her coffee, securely lidded, a lesson painfully learned. Jesus, I mean, Mr. Sullivan, I'm just finishing something. He looked different at night. Suit jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up, a shadow of stubble softening his jaw. More human, less corporate deity. You've been here 18 hours, he said, leaning against her desk. The algorithm will wait until morning, says the man who's also here at 2 a.m., she countered, surprising herself with her boldness. That ghost of a smile appeared again, touching. "The simulation is almost complete," she explained, gesturing to her screen. "One more variable," and her stomach growled loudly, interrupting her sentence. "When did you last eat?" he asked. Ellie thought. "Breakfast? Maybe." James shook his head. "Come on. There's a diner 3 blocks away that serves breakfast all night." "You're asking me to eat food with you?" "It's called dinner, Matthews, or breakfast. Whatever meal comes after, about to collapse from starvation." The diner was deserted, except for a half-asleep waitress and an elderly man reading yesterday's newspaper. James Sullivan, billionaire tech prodigy, slid into a vinyl booth like he belonged there, ordering pancakes and black coffee without consulting the menu. Ellie watched him, mystified. "I didn't know you ate regular food. I thought you survived on the tears of competitors and the souls of underperforming employees." Auntie actually laughed, a rich, unexpected sound. "Is that my reputation?" "That, and you fired someone for using Comic Sans in a presentation." "That's ridiculous." He paused. "It was papyrus." Ellie's laugh bubbled up before she realized he was joking. The James Sullivan across from her bore little resemblance to the corporate Ice King. This version had laugh lines around his eyes and asked questions about her life before quantum, listening with genuine interest. "Why did you hire me?" she finally asked. "Really?" He studied her, those blue eyes thoughtful. "Your algorithm was brilliant, but unpolished, like you." "Unpolished? That's a polite way of saying human disaster." "No," he said seriously. "It means you think differently. You see patterns others miss, because you're not constrained by conventional approaches." He took a sip of coffee. "That's rare, Ellie, and valuable." It was the first time he'd used her first name. Something shifted between them in that fluorescent-lit diner at 3 a.m., something neither was prepared to name. The next morning, Alexandra cornered Ellie in the break room. "Late night with Sullivan." Ellie nearly choked on her coffee. "What?" "No, I mean yes, but not like that. Pancakes. Work. Professional pancakes." Alexandra's eyebrow arched higher. "Be careful, Matthews. Office rumors spread faster than your coffee did on Sullivan's suit." She lowered her voice. "And Sullivan doesn't do relationships, work or otherwise." "There's no relationship," Ellie insisted. "I'm just the algorithm girl." But something had changed. James began stopping by her workstation daily, challenging her ideas, pushing her thinking further. Sometimes their debates carried into evening, the office emptying around them as they argued the finer points of predictive modeling. Ellie found herself looking forward to these encounters, drawn to the way his mind worked, precise, brilliant, but with surprising blind spots that her chaotic thinking complemented perfectly. The Phoenix Project was evolving, taking shape in ways even Alexandra had to admit were promising. Ellie's algorithm, refined by the team's expertise, and James's relentless questioning, was showing unprecedented accuracy in test scenarios. Then Cameron Blake walked into Quantum Innovations, and everything imploded. Cameron Blake was everything James Sullivan wasn't: openly charming, effortlessly sociable, and CEO of Helix Systems, Quantum's chief competitor. His unexpected visit sent ripples through the office. "Just a friendly professional courtesy," he announced. "All perfect teeth and practice sincerity. Thought I'd see what the competition's up to." James's face was a mask of polite hostility as he escorted Blake through a carefully controlled tour, keeping him far from the Phoenix team's floor. But Blake somehow materialized in their workspace anyway, examining their monitors with exaggerated interest. "Fascinating approach," he commented, eyes lingering on Ellie's screen. "Very unconventional." That evening, the team worked late, rattled by Blake's intrusion. Around midnight, Ellie discovered her algorithm was behaving strangely, producing errors that hadn't existed before. "Did anyone modify my code?" she asked, frowning at her screen. No one had. But something was wrong. Sections seemed corrupted. Key components altered in ways subtle enough to pass casual inspection, but devastating to functionality. Someone's been in our system, she realized with growing horror. An emergency team meeting revealed the worst. During Blake's visit, security protocols had been bypassed, key elements of Phoenix had been copied, and malicious code inserted to derail their progress. James Sullivan's rage was terrifying, cold, contained, and absolute. Find out exactly what was taken, he ordered, and fix it. For the next 72 hours, the Phoenix team worked non-stop, rebuilding corrupted systems and assessing damage. Ellie barely slept, fueled by determination and industrial quantities of caffeine. On the third night, she found it, buried deep in the system architecture, a sophisticated data mining program, transmitting their work directly to Helix servers. And worse, evidence that someone inside Quantum had helped Blake plant it. She stumbled to James's office, exhausted but triumphant. I found it, and I know who helped Blake. His eyes sharpened. Who? Robert Chin. He accessed the system after hours, changed security protocols. Robert was one of the original Phoenix programmers, quiet and unassuming. James was already reaching for his phone when Ellie's legs buckled. 3 days without sleep, finally catching up with her. He moved with surprising speed, catching her before she hit the floor. Sorry, she mumbled against his shoulder, mortified. Gravity and I are having issues again. You need sleep, Ellie, he said, his voice gentler than she'd ever heard it. His arms were strong around her, his heartbeat steady under her cheek. Can't. Algorithm needs fixing. The algorithm can wait. He helped her to the office sofa. Sleep. That's an order. She was too exhausted to argue, drifting off, as he covered her with his suit jacket, its scent wrapping around her like a promise. The Phoenix crisis became a turning point. Robert Chen was terminated and facing criminal charges. James Sullivan, impressed by the team's response, became more directly involved in daily operations, working alongside them instead of appearing for brief inspections. Working with James every day was complicated. Ellie found herself hyper-aware of his presence, the subtle scent of his cologne, the way he ran his hand through his hair when thinking deeply, how his voice changed when they were alone versus in meetings. You're staring at him again, Marcus whispered during a team meeting. Am not, Ellie hissed back, jerking her gaze away from James's hands as he explained quarterly projections. Please, you've got it worse than my teenager has for that K-pop band. I do not have anything. He's our boss, Marcus snorted, and he finds reasons to consult with you 6 times a day because their minds fit together in ways Ellie couldn't explain, her chaos complementing his order, his precision refining her wild ideas, because something electric happened when they argued about algorithms, both pushing each other toward better solutions, because sometimes she caught him looking at her with an expression that made her forget how to breathe. Because I'm good at my job, she insisted. 3 days later, Helix Systems announced a breakthrough, a market prediction system with unprecedented accuracy that bore suspicious similarities to Phoenix. Cameron Blake gave smug interviews about innovation and revolutionary approaches. James called an emergency meeting. They've stolen our work but implemented it wrong, he said, pacing the conference room. Their system lacks the chaos variables that make Ellie's algorithm effective. We can still beat them to market, but we need to accelerate. The system isn't stable enough, Alexandra objected. We need at least 6 more weeks of testing. We don't have 6 weeks. We have 2, maybe less, before Helix's flawed version causes market disruption. James turned to Ellie. What do you think? Every head swiveled toward her. The coffee girl now consulted on company-defining decisions. I think, she began slowly, we can do it. Not with the current approach, but if we rebuild the core architecture using the secondary framework I've been developing. I never doubted your commitment to quantum, Ellie said quietly. I doubted where I fit into it. You fit. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident. This is why I don't do this. Relationships complicate everything. Office politics, rumors, conflicts of interest. Relationships, is that what we're talking about? He looked at her then, really looked at her. His defenses crumbling. You know it is. I know that I've spent 3 months working alongside the most brilliant, infuriating man I've ever met, she said, stepping closer. I know that something happens when we're together that makes everything, algorithms, problems, even my own thoughts, make more sense. I know that I'm terrified of whatever this is because it could ruin everything I've worked for. What I don't know is whether you feel the same way or if I'm just another asset to your company. An asset? His laugh was hollow. Ellie, you're the only person who's ever made me forget about this company, even for a moment. Do you have any idea how terrifying that is? The space between them seemed charged with electricity, with possibility. Terrifying, she agreed, but maybe worth the risk. I mean, I already ruined your favorite suit. How much worse could it get? His smile, a real one, not the ghost she'd glimpsed before, transformed his face. Much worse. You could ruin all my suits. You could ruin my carefully constructed reputation for heartlessness. You could ruin me entirely. That sounds suspiciously like a challenge, Mr. Sullivan. He closed the distance between them, one hand gently tilting her chin up. The question is, Miss Matthews, are you up for it? Her answer was to rise on tiptoes and press her lips to his, a kiss that felt like the perfect algorithm, chaotic and precise, innovative and familiar, the beginning of something revolutionary. When they broke apart, breathless, she smiled. For the record, I haven't spilled coffee on anyone in at least 3 weeks. A new personal record. Growth mindset. She laughed against his mouth, but no promises about tomorrow. 6 months later, Quantum Innovations released Phoenix 2.0 to worldwide acclaim. The team had expanded to 36 engineers, with Ellie leading development as Chief Innovation Officer. James Sullivan remained CEO, still demanding excellence, still intimidating new employees with his intensity, though rumors spread about him smiling more often, particularly around a certain chaotic genius who still occasionally spilled coffee, but now did so on her own designer suits. In the company cafeteria, Alexandra cornered Marcus, eyebrow raised. Did you see them this morning? Actually giggling over some algorithm adjustment. Marcus grinned. The Ice King and the coffee catastrophe. Who would have thought? I still can't believe it all started with that ruined suit, Alexandra mused. Across the room, Ellie was gesturing wildly, nearly knocking over her coffee as she explained a new idea. James caught the cup just before disaster, his hand lingering over hers, his eyes softening in a way reserved only for her. Some disasters, it turned out, were actually beginnings in disguise.